Welcome back. Today we're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin against USD, right? So here we are. We're still above the skinny pink line on the daily, which means that we're still on a bullish trend. However, we have been detecting strong selling pressure across the several months from July onwards. We started seeing shooting stars. Right? If you move on to the weekly time frame, you'll be able to see that this is, ladies and gentlemen, what you call a shooting star. A shooting star means that every time there was a push up, there's always selling pressure pulling it back down. Hence, you get a shooting star, right? Again, over here, shooting star. And last week, we closed with a shooting star as well. So it's shooting star and shooting star and shooting star. And I'm like, hey, yo, bro. I think we're dropping lower. I don't think things are looking good. We are about to break back under the support line over here, right? Previously was resistance. Pum, 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 boom, out. Boing, boing. I think we're about to slice down. And if and when we slice down, it is going to be volatile. But the question I have is that, are we going to really, truly drop really low again? We're not entirely sure at this point of time. Honestly, we really aren't sure because this is it's such a small head and shoulders. Not to say that it's not valid, right? It's still a head and shoulders, but things could just start turning bullish anytime. Although we are seeing a lot of bearish signals, right? As in shooting stars. At the same time, we're still above the skinny pink line, so there's kind of mixed signals at the moment, right? There's some bullish signals. There are also some bearish signals. So you'd be like, hey, yo, bro, what's happening, right? So the bearish scenario is that we drop lower, right? The bullish scenario is that we get a symmetrical here. And we continue breaking higher. Again, if I had a bull-bear slider for Bitcoin, it would be 60% bearish, 40% bullish. I'm still leaning on the bearish side of things, right? I'm still aware that Bitcoin could still hit lower to take out the lows over here, right? But I fear that once we cross the skinny pink line, things are just not going to be good for Bitcoin for some time. So again, we're not entirely sure, right? Again, there's also strong buying pressure around this area, right? Strong buying pressure, which means that this area will be defended very well, right? There will be strong support at this area around 20,000. Very likely there will be support. But this is still a bearish chart pattern to me, right? So, hey, yo, bro, what are we gonna do about that? Yeah, we're not too sure, right? All we know is that there are certain coins that has been very volatile, right? If you look at the top 10 for the past 7 days, it's 1%, 3%, 0, 1, 0, 3, 0, 2%, 0, 1%, 3%, 5. Yeah, it's just not much. But of course, like I was saying, there's outliers, right? Look at this. Chainlink up 9%, right? If you go down even further, you'll find it. Immutable X up 14%. Radix up 16%, right? Thorchain down 10%. WeMix up 117%. So yeah, again, there are always outliers that's volatile, but in general, it's just not. We're just kind of moving sideways. But I feel like we're about to resolve the volatility, and my intuition is telling me that very likely it's towards the downside, right? Very likely, right? 60-40. I'm still 60 bearish. If you look at Bitcoin dominance, we still have a target towards the upside, right? The target is at, drumroll please, 54%. Right now we're at 49%. It's another 40% towards the upside. Bitcoin is dropping, but the dominance is dropping as well. So I'm like, hey, yo, what's happening? Normally when Bitcoin drops, altcoins will drop faster than Bitcoin, which will translate to higher dominance for Bitcoin. But for now, Bitcoin is dropping faster than everyone else. So that's why Bitcoin dominance is dropping. So it's like, okay, but yeah, we're still adamant that we should be heading towards 54%, right? So I suspect that once we hit 54% and somewhere around the area, we should be able to see the potential bottom for Bitcoin against USD, right? As we hit 54%. That's my guess for it. Of course, we can also zoom all the way back up. Right, but again, in the bigger scheme of things, I don't expect Bitcoin to do very well against alts, right? I expect a big descending triangle as Bitcoin heads towards single digits. Yes, sir, under 10% eventually, but this is years and years in the making. It could be 10 years in the making. Okay, we're not entirely sure, so we're gonna take things one step at a time. Sure, Bitcoin could also just start heading higher, and Bitcoin could form an ascending triangle, right? Value 1, value 2, value 3, Bitcoin dominance hits to 100% again. But as it stands, nah. If you look at a weekly, we're still under the skinny pink line. So we respect the skinny pink line, right? The trend is still bearish. Sure, we may not even hit 54%, and we may come back down all the way, right? And form our big descending triangle. Sure, of course. So yeah, but at this point of time, we're still leaning towards 54% for Bitcoin dominance. Total, yes, total crypto market cap. So if you look at total crypto market cap, yes, we have two targets. One towards the upside and one towards the downside. He's like, hey, yo, bro, what's this? Are you a trader or not? Yeah. Yeah, so again, there was a gigantic head and shoulders over here, right? And this gigantic head and shoulders, we were expecting things to drop to potentially 620 billion. But there was a rally that came. And once this rally came, we were like, hey, yo, bro, this is a inverse head and shoulders, right? So this inverse head and shoulders points towards 1.5 trillion, right? So yeah, but we didn't really zip up. We just rose a little bit. We broke the resistance, and then we started consolidating again. So it's like, hey, yo, bro, what's this? What's this? And yeah, this could turn into a symmetrical. You see that? This is coinciding with Bitcoin. It looks a lot like Bitcoin's USD chart. Right. Yeah, but this is in the form of a, I mean, if you look at it with bearish lenses, right, this is a descending triangle, which potentially, could resolve towards the downside, right, to 620B, which we have for Bitcoin. But at the same time, because this is a potential symmetrical as well, which means that we could be hitting higher towards 1.47T, right, 1.5T. But yeah, as you know, we are hitting back the skinny pink line, and this is, to me, a bearish sign. So more downside is to be expected for total crypto market cap, right? As a whole, I'm still expecting crypto to drop much lower from where we are to 620 billion. It's another 40%. So maybe Bitcoin might drop another 20%, around there, and altcoins might drop even further. It could be 40%, 50%, even 60%, right? There are big bearish setups, big bearish chart patterns that points towards the downside. But at the same time, there are also big bullish setups that point towards the upside. But yeah, we're still adamant that there's still more downside to go for total crypto market cap. At this point of time, of course, things can always change. But at this point of time, right, yeah, there's a very clear support over here, which I still suspect is going to be taken out. You see this? I still suspect this support is going to be taken out. And if we were to drop lower, we're going to go close to the lows over here. So very likely we're going to take out these lows as well, right? If we were to break support. If we don't break support and rise higher, then this could be an ABCDE as well as we hit higher, right? So we have to take things one step at a time. Things are still very iffy. So yeah, total 2, not too different from total 1, but at the same time, you know, you can also see this from both bullish and bearish lenses. From a bearish perspective, this is a mountain. We are very close to collapsing. Very close to a collapse towards 320 billion. Very close. Yeah. Once we zip lower, if we were to retouch support again, I'm expecting support to eventually break. And if and when support breaks, I'm expecting 320 billion to be hit. And this was a target which we acquired way back in 2022 December. I'm still expecting more downside at this point of time because for total 2 minus Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is actually above the skinny pink line. But everything minus Bitcoin is very weak. It's very weak. So that's why when you see outliers doing big moves like we mix, where's we mix? We mix, right? Doing 100%. Nobody else is doing 100% in the top 100. Only we mix by itself. So that's why these are what you call outliers. Anyway, as a whole, right? Crypto as a whole minus Bitcoin, I'm still expecting more downside. This to me is a more likely than not a bearish continuation chart pattern. This is what you call a rectangular consolidation. And of course, it can also head higher for sure. But I am inclined to expect more downside, right? Much more downside for Toto too. Usually, when the preceding trend is bearish and you get a consolidation, the subsequent trend is also going to be bearish. More likely than not. Of course, trading, there's no guarantees, right? More likely than not. But yeah, again, from a bullish perspective, you can also view this as a series of valleys. Valley 1, Valley 2, we come back up, Valley 3, and then we head higher. This will be some sort of an ascending triangle as we head towards 1 trillion. Possibly. But again, it doesn't look good. I'm still expecting 3-2 OB, so be careful, boys and girls, be careful. Total 3, yes sir, this is Total 3. Here we are for Total 3. Yeah, again, this is looking to me like a descending, more and more like a descending, right? We keep dropping lower and lower. Every time we get slapped down. We're getting slapped at the moment. Of course, if we were to head higher towards resistance, right? We could be breaking resistance eventually towards 604 billion. This would be awesome. But again, we're still under the skinny incline, largely. So more downsides to be expected. 200 billion is expected to be breached. 200. So this is another, where is this? 30%. 30%, not much, right? 30%. So yeah, it's just not really looking that good. I still expect more downside at this point of time. Again, if I were to look at total 1, 2, 3, and again, if you were to ask me, bullish, bearish, same. It's 60-40 for me. I still am 60% bearish. So even if it were to drop, I suspect this will be the completion of potentially an ABC kind of a chart pattern, right? 3 waves down. You can argue that this is 5 waves. Yeah, it's a bit subjective at this point of time, right? It's a bit subjective. Yeah, it's a bit subjective. But I'm still expecting more downside, right? Chart pattern says more likely than not more downside at this point of time. So be careful about rushing to a trade too soon for any coin at all. Sure, there are bullish chart patterns, but at this point of time, I still think it's much safer to do scalping or day trading, as in like during the day, right? You make an entry, price goes up, then you exit. Close your positions by the end of the day, right? Because things are kind of going sideways, right? So sometimes if you were to go into a chart, like let's say let's take WeMix for example, shall we? WeMix is up 100%. Okay, let's do it. WeMix. So for WeMix against USD, yes sir. So we're out here, we're up above the skinny pink line. The question always remains: are we gonna stay above the skinny pink line? We're not too sure. Are we overbought? Yeah. Is it a good idea to go long when things are overbought? Is it a good idea? So severely overbought. Is it a good idea? Obviously not. So you have to wait for a retrace if you really truly like WeMix. Right, 120 is not a good price to be going in. I can see the potential for WeMix. Right, you can see here something like an A, a B, right down the C, up for a D, and then we get an E, and then that's it. Sayonara bitches, potentially, right? But let's just drop to, let's say, 1 minute, right? And then you look for opportunities in the 1 minute time frame. Right, for example, not exactly that high quality, right? But something like a squeeze, right? You can put on trades, in, out, before it drops. Again, this is something like an inverse head and shoulders, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder up, then we came back down again. So it validates the thing. Yeah, it's not that good though. The wheels have not been too kind. Again, symmetrical. Okay, this is nicer, right? Symmetrical triangle, right? We broke out, retrace, we continue higher. Right, so you can like make entries. Once it breaks, you make an entry, and then once it does, a rally, then you just get out. That's it. Because you don't know at this point of time. Once we're here, right, you don't know if it's going to be a zip down or if it's going to be continuing higher. Right, so you have to wait for chart patterns to appear. Right, and then you take a trade for it. Yeah, again, we could get something here, but we're not entirely sure. Right. Things are very, very, very overbought. So you got to know what you're doing before, rushing to a trade for WeMix, right? I don't know, but if we're going to be getting a shooting star, but this looks to me like a potential shooting star coming on, right? The day, of course, is not even halfway there yet, right? It's only 6 hours after the day has already opened, and we could get a shooting star over here. So which means that there is a potential that WeMix could be reversing. I mean, of course, as the day goes on, we could still zip higher from here for sure. But yeah, this is how you look for trading opportunities, right, in volatile coins. Curve. Okay, curve. Okay, the reason why curve is rising, because let me just show you something. Let me just show you something like that. That's why, like I was saying, there's some charts that are showing bullishness. There's some charts showing bearishness. But if you look at curve, do you see this? This is a hammer. The hammer is the opposite of a shooting star, which means that there is buying pressure coming in, pushing the price higher. And this is a potential bullish reversal for curve. So whoever that bought curve at around 40 cents, you're swimming in money right now. We're 50 cents. It's 20%, right? Yeah, it's 20%. If you zip down to the smaller time frames, would you have been able to put on trades for it? Not really. Not towards the upside. Not at this point of time. Throughout the journey, right? Let's say, for example, from a bearish perspective, would we have been able to put on trades? Yeah, right. See, mountain ranges, zip down again, something like that. Mountain ranges over here. Mountains, we zip down again. Rising channel, zip down, right? You can also see this as a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, zip down, right? Again, mountain ranges, zip down, right? Rising channel, zip down, right? It's just bearish, all the way bearish. So yeah, you can trade the bearish continuation, right? Always respect the trend. If the trend is bearish, remain with a bearish bias, right? We're still under the skinny pink line though, so of course things can always go wrong for curve. But I see a weekly hammer, so things could start looking bright for curve. We might go sideways for a little bit before seeing a zip back up, but there is potential, right? This whole thing could turn into a very gigantic inverse head and shoulders as CRV just starts zipping back up. Absolutely possible. But again, we'll cross the bridge when the time comes. At this point of time, we're still not entirely sure, because if BTC were to drop much lower, very likely it's going to affect curve as well. So we'll have to take things one step at a time for curve. Alright, boys and girls, I guess that's it for today's Bitcoin technical analysis. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you in the next one.